Wednesday, May 15th, quick one up video, a few wonderful ladies and gentlemen. New all-time highs, very impressive move. I think it's interesting that we didn't see any responsive selling at the reference highs and price just beasted through. Pretty much on the SPY and the Qs, not so much on the DIA just yet, but that is nearing channel high, and I do think 400-ish area is a good area to trim profits into if you're long the DIA. As far as VIX goes, I believe between this 1240 and 1181, which are both key reference lows, it's a good area to trim gains, raise stops, and put on some cheap hedges, maybe longer dated. We could see some kind of a correction. I know the last couple of years we've had strength into July and then seen some peel off into August, September, and then bottoming in October. Could it happen again? Is it just recency bias? It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, that's when we're putting in potential for rate cuts. So maybe it's a sell the news if the Fed does wind up cutting in September. As far as Fed probability goes, it's still about 67-33 that they don't go in July. I am almost positive they're not going in July. I know a lot of people are talking about it now, but we had one inline CPI data number with a hot PPI number following 3 hot reads. I don't think the Fed is going in July. I do think it is possible they do wind up going in September. It's basically at this point 75-25 that they go in September. So that's what's being priced in. If you look at the 1 year, it's still 5.11%. And the 2 year is 4.71%. So they're looking at 2 to 3 rate cuts within the next year or two. As far as the ES goes, new highs over 53.33.5 remains bullish. Back below could see a liquidation break. My guess is we would repair the rich close somewhere around 53.08.5. It's possible we ping off the top side of the channel at 53.20. So look at those two levels as potential support. If that can't hold, we could see a larger liquidation break, probably down to somewhere between 52.57.5 and 52.64, which was the prior breakout. As far as Qs go, anything over 18,691 quarter remains bullish. If we were to go up to channel high and do it tomorrow, we could see 18,946. I'd start getting careful though if we couldn't hold that 18,691 quarter. I think we could easily see a liquidation break down to 18,626 and likely down to 18,568, which would help repair today's rich close. As far as SPY goes, bulls took it price back up over 524.61, which was our target once we cleared the 78.6 at 518.03. Remember, we flipped bullish once we cleared the 20 MA on that gap and go move 5.3. I do like trimming here, and if we do get below 524.61, it is a look above and fail, and we could see a pretty large liquidation break. My guess is probably somewhere to the 50 MA, around 513-ish. If we keep going, the 1.618 fib extension from the 328 high to the 419 low takes you up to 543.61. The 2 times range is 555.36, and the 2.618 is up around 574.36. Bulls are in clean air here. Again, I do like trimming some profits, particularly if we're up into Friday. Often we see some profit taking on a Friday ahead of the weekend. Qs also beasted back up through the 321 reference high at 449.34. Anything above there to me remains sideways to higher. Below, we could see a liquidation break. My guess is down to 441.58, which would be the 78.6 of the range. If we do keep going, the 1.618 is up at 471.75. The 2 times range is at 485.61, and the 2.618 is up at 508.02. Remember, the market is rallying on a lot of poor structure. This is short covering and chasing higher. Eventually, this structure will get repaired. It's just a matter of when, not if. But things can remain rational longer than we can often stay solvent, so just keep that in mind. Apple we liked over the earnings day at high at 187.15. There should be some resistance around 191.05, 192s, and then my guess is we could see 195s to 196.38. I do like being long into the Worldwide Developer Conference, but not long for the actual Worldwide Developer Conference. There could be a liquidation break on that if the news is a little disappointing, and then that'll give us an opportunity to reload later on toward the end of the summer for the iPhone launch. Sometimes it happens on that summer quarter, you get a quick liquidation break, and then that winds up being the setup. Google's still acting well. The street liked what it heard. If that makes a move up to channel high, that's roughly the prior high from 426. That could take us up to 174.71 to 174.78. I would be a trimmer there. I think you could raise stops now. If you want to use today's VWAP for part, that's 171.91. Microsoft nearing resistance here on the earnings pop. It was 424s. If it does make a move up to the downtrend, you're looking at 426.71, but I think you could raise your stop here to 421.66, which is the 78.6 of the range. Nvidia, nice move. That's not quite at all-time highs. I think you could use 927.36 as a raise stop. That's the 78.6. If it keeps going, the channel high is up around 965.61, and the reference highs are at 974. If the market stays bullish, this will likely make new highs as well, but I do like trimming into up moves here. SMH also lagging the Qs. That's also a little bit of a cause for caution, but it is over the 78.6, 230.43. It is above the channel. I do like trimming here, but I think you could raise stops to 232.23, which is of course the VWAP from the day. If it does keep going, the reference high is at 231.14, which to me would be a good opportunity to sell into, and likely the same with the Qs. Wow, did you catch that SMCI trade that we talked about in the midweek video? I talked about it needing a gap and go over 855, and boy did that get it. Wham! We went right up to the 950 target, which is the 50% fib of the range. I think you could use the 50-day moving average at 929.09 as a stop now. Anything below there to me gets a little iffy, and if it loses 910, I think the trade is done and we have risk to the downside. 976.10 up to 103.54, maybe an overshoot to 1,015.84, but I do like trimming here. And I do think that up moves here in the next day or two are probably ones to trim profits and sell into. The easy money has been made here. But wow, was that a move today? $130. Dixie is providing the bulls a lot of cover here. Big down move today. It lost the 105s. It lost 104.636. It lost the 200 MA here in the overnight. I think a move back up through the 200 MA, though, at 104.296 could retest a key 104.522 to 104.636. That'd be a check back to the breakdown, but things are looking a little iffy here. I am thinking there's some support coming in between 103.817 and 103.947. We are seeing a bottoming tail hammer here in the after hours, so I would be a trimmer if you're short the dollar into any weakness, and I think you could use a move over the 200 MA again at 104.296 as a stop, and even a right or right out long trade for a bounce. TLT also providing cover. We're up into that 92.01 area. 200 MA is just above us, 92.36. The downtrend, if it makes it there, is 92.62 and maybe an overshoot to the 100 MA at 93.36, but probably a good area to trim into. Maybe it does fill the gap to 94.62, but I think very easy to use today's low as a stop at 91.63. Anything above sideways to higher, anything below stop at or short, probably a quick pullback to 91.05. Bitcoin, I told you I thought was consolidating for a larger move. We got the breakout today above trend. I think you could either use the 50 MA here at 66,365 or the 414.21 old high at 65,520. Anything below there, I'd probably stop out or at least trim back on the position. Any moves up into 67,340, I think is a trim. After that, the resistance zone is 69,355 to 70,195. Generally speaking, the market's a little overextended here. I do like trimming gains. It's a tough short here until you see some type of either excess move or reversal candle or a move back below those breakout levels for the look above and fail. I do, again, want to emphasize the market is rallying on poor structure, but markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. June meeting does give us an economic update, and I'll be very curious to see if the Fed upgrades or downgrades the economy. I think, if anything, the data has been coming in soft, and maybe that's their cover for going in September, that the economy is softening even with inflation strong. Again, the Fed has stopped fighting inflation. They are now helping the Treasury fund itself and doing political things ahead of political season. That's it.